day was better than the last.
Callum, this is going to be a weird video for a couple of reasons. One, this is the new video game from Swery, so you can expect a degree of...
Oh, Swery of best video game ever made, Deadly Premonition fame.
Yes, let's say cult classic. Let's go with that.
Best video game. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go with that. I'm gonna start into it. Just gonna get into this because you'll see. So I'm going to have to do this video in two parts, and I'll explain why.
Oh God. Okay.
The first part of this will just be showing off kind of what this game looks like and kind of the weirdness that is involved in it. And then the second part, I'm going to warn people, and I'm just going to show the mechanic that is most of this game.
Right.
The reason why I'm splitting it is because finding the mechanic was kind of the thing.
Right.
That kept you going through the game. So I'll split that off and I'll warn people when I'm about to do it. So this is the missing, or as it's fully known, JJ Macfield and the Island of Memories.
Do you have that written down beside you?
No, I just remembered it because I've stared at the title screen a bunch of times getting this fucking video to work. But
Yeah,
there you go.
That's fair.
So you start the game, you and your significant other. It's kind of unclear at the start of the game what your relationship is to her, but you and Emily are camping on your birthday on this remote island. You fall asleep, you wake up, Emily's gone, you run to the right a little bit, and you get to here, and we start to see the sweariness of the game. So
I mean, okay.
So if you look back,
Does it tell you like where you are? Is this the real world, or is this
nope,
like?
not right now. As far
Okay.
as I can tell, I have woken up on this island, and Emily is no longer there, and you've chased it
Right.
after her. I'm also no longer controlling the game at
Oh.
that point.
You're now dead.
So
Okay.
if you look back at Swery's history with video games that we've played, you look at Deadly Premonition, and you watch that game,
Oh.
and this dude.
Okay. Yeah, that's yeah. That's got real sweary really quickly. That's, Yeah.
So you look at Deadly Premonition and you go, oh, Swery watched Twin Peaks and wanted to do that himself, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at D4, and you say, oh, Swery watched a bunch of American police procedurals and wanted to do that.
Yeah. Specifically
okay.
ones in Boston. Yeah.
Specifically one set in Boston. So this game feels like Swery played a bunch of Limbo and was like, I want to do one of them.
Okay.
And,
Sure.
Made a Swery version of Limbo.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
yeah. Some deer.
Why?
Dude in
I
a
was about to
doctor's
ask.
suit.
I was about to ask why does that deer? Why does that doctor have a deer head? And then I remembered it was a sweary game.
So
yeah.
the one thing I will say, so it's basically impossible to talk about the story of this game without ruining the thing that makes it interesting.
The thing. Yeah.
But I will say that it does get to the end of the game, and it does basically explain everything,
Oh.
which I was
okay.
happy about.
Sure.
You may not agree with the also this theme song is
Oh
great.
my God. Wow. Okay.
Right? It's fully voiced intro
Yeah.
theme over Emily crying, over JJ crying. It's just, it goes. It just starts. And
Are you
it's,
playing the game right now, or
so
are you...
I haven't controlled the game in a while. This is me
Okay, right,
about to
okay.
take control again in a second.
But will
Um,
this title screen, right? Will this just keep going
Yes.
the longer you stand there?
I am.
Wow,
I'm
that's
about
pretty
to
good.
start moving, and the title screen will stay there as I start moving. So I'm now in control.
Oh, that's great.
I am now moving to the right. So like this is the start of the game, just for people
Does
who.
Swery does do really good theme songs. I'll give
does.
him that.
He
He,
really
does
does.
good music. The D4 one, something special.
So this is the start of the game, just for people who don't know, this is like literally the first 5 minutes of the game. I skipped a very, very early tutorialization part of it. It does not tutorialize you for basically anything, and that's
Sure.
okay. Because a lot of it is kind of discovery and kind of figuring out what is going on, and especially when you see the mechanic, it does not tutorialize the mechanic. You find out as you go along, and it's better for it, I think.
Sure.
So in terms of what the game is, it's a kind of physics puzzle platformer, very much like Limbo. There are boxes you pull, there are things you swing over, there are all of the things that make a physics platformer. You jump. I can't jump.
Do you die in horrific ways?
Yeah, of course you do.
Okay. Cool.
It's very much one of those games, and the next section will kind of show to what extent. So as a game, like ignoring the story, ignoring the mechanics, as a platformer and a video game, I do not think this is a very good game for a number of reasons. One, as a platformer, the jumping and kind of general mechanics feel... also there's a guy called FK, because it's a Swery game.
Of course there's another person called FK. Why is it always... yeah.
So this phone might actually be one of the best things in the game. It kind of plays a core part of the storytelling. Do you
learn that FK? Do you learn his actual name?
No, he's always just FK.
Sure.
Also, liberal use of stickers from many sides of many conversations. There's a lot. So this is another problem with the game. This phone in particular is another problem with the game. I'll get to in a little bit. But just in terms of mechanics, it doesn't jump particularly well. The kind of mantling, not mantling. That's a first person thing, but the general platforminess of these games like this, it's fine. It's a little bit clunky, but it does the job.
Right.
The real problem is the checkpoints, which this game might have the worst checkpoint placement of any video game I've ever played.
Oh,
it is. Okay. And on top of that, it does not let you skip, like, kind of quote unquote cutscenes. Oops. Oh. Shit. So this is the point where I'm going to say this is the mechanic. You probably need to leave if you want to see what this actually does. I forgot this happens a little bit earlier than planned, but you can at any time press Y and come back from the dead. So that's one of the mechanics. It's not the one I was going to show off, but that's one of the mechanics. Right. At any time you can hold Y and you will come back from being dead. That is
from being dead.
You'll
just come back as like a full human being.
Yes. So
okay.
Yes.
So this isn't like a... Oh fuck! I've forgotten the name.
Let's leave that discussion for a little bit, because I think I know where you're going with it, and I'll talk about that in a second.
I'm gonna need to find the name of that video game.
Do not say it out loud, because I think I know the game you're talking about.
I think it's this. Yeah. Okay.
The checkpointing system is so bad that there are moments where there are kind of in-game kind of scripted scenes almost that you cannot skip. It without fail will checkpoint you before those things, and you cannot skip them. So you just end up seeing the same first 20 seconds after all of those one-hit kills that you get.
Yeah.
And it is...
Why is there a donut in the air?
So because of the checkpoints, I almost put the game down multiple times. The donuts are the collectibles. There are 278 of them in the game.
Oh, God.
And that leads me quite nicely onto my second problem I have with this game, where the donuts basically unlock. So if I go in here and go into... I don't think this is going to show any story stuff, but I will blur it if it does.
This was the video where you learned how to blur things in After Effects.
I know how to blur things. I'm just like, this is up to date. So the phone has a bunch of pre-built...
Oh, that's a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of conversations in it that are...
Oh wow, that's a long
There's some
chain.
stuff right in here. I'm pretty sure this is all. I'm gonna check this later, but I think this is all just kind of built-in conversations that you can go through and get a bit of thing. The problem is that those conversations are directly tied to the donuts, where for every batch of donut, I think every 10 donuts or something you get unlocks the next set of conversations. There are conversations hidden behind donuts that are core to you understanding what this game is about. And if you miss them, I would expect you would be very, very confused as to what this game's actually about.
Do you mean like background like story stuff. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's leave it at that. There is
Sure.
conversations that set up the rest of the world that the ending heavily relies on you of having seen.
Huh. Okay.
And they are tied behind the donut collectibles. And there, so again, that ties into the checkpoint mechanic where there are sections of the levels that are purely just like, hey, if you're trying to get all the donuts, you need to go through this section. All of the sections are one-hit kills and will reset you back to the start of the area without any of the work you've done being done. So I had zero reason to actually want to go do those things.
Yeah, sure.
So I think I just got lucky. I saw enough of the donut conversations that it made sense. So this is the end of the first part. I'm about to go into the mechanic. If you're convinced already at this point, which you should have been by the fact it's a Swery game, I think as a game it's not great. The ending, on reflection, pulls does the landing well, I think.
Sure. Right.
It's about 4 hours ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus or minus some time for depending on how many times you have to restart stuff and reset. Maybe hold off and see if it drops a little bit in price. Maybe. For those of you who are still with us, here's the mechanic that is about this game, and I can spoil it in 3 words. So, yo, you remember the game Never Dead?
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that's the exact game I was thinking of. So you could just you can pick up your body parts and throw them around.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
That's this game. So stuff falls off you. You can pick it up and fucking throw it the same way you can for other items. You can continue to. So in order to get past this section in particular, I was here for like 20 minutes going, the fuck am I supposed to do? So I'm gonna go throw myself at this wall over and over. I'm gonna go again. It's just my torso. You can see at the top left is the current state of your body.
Right, so it's just your torso and your head right now.
So now it's just my head, and I can just roll.
Totally, it's just fucking Never Dead. Holy shit.
This game is... Oh, and I fucked it. So there's your problem. Once you're ahead and you hit something, you're dead. And you're back to a checkpoint.
That's bad. Okay.
There are sections of this game that rely on you just being ahead to kind of navigate some platforming that are one-hit kills and will reset you back to the start of the area. It is actively bad. It is not a good way of doing this. And I almost didn't finish this game about 3 or 4 times because it was just not worth going back and doing it again.
So so the ending, again, we're not going to say anything specific, but the ending, you said answers everything.
Yes.
Was it worth it? Like,
so, oh, you're fucking kidding me. Okay, I'm going to jump a little bit here because
that seems really bad, because that's actually quite a precise jump for something that doesn't actually have precise jumping mechanics.
And also at the point where it hasn't told you this is the mechanic.
This is how the game works.
So like you don't even run into it once, then you're like, oh shit, my leg fell off and I can still move. That's weird. It doesn't tell you like, hey, you need to go down to your head and then roll through that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna very quickly jump.
You could sit there for ages not doing anything, or trying stuff and just dying and dying and dying.
As I did for like 20 minutes until I realized what it was actually trying to get me to do. So so that is the mechanic. The mechanic is there are various things in here that will, for lack of a better word, mutilate JJ in various points. And the mechanic is how you deal with that. So this is the other bit that confused the shit out of me originally, right? So this is like a construction yard outside of a church, and there's this ball. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so the ball's probably going to rip me apart somehow, but actually what happens when you hit the ball is this happens, right?
What?
The level goes upside down because your neck has snapped and your head's upside down. So now gravity's upside down.
Okay.
And I can now walk across the ceiling, but physics has changed because it's actually proper physics, so the ball's now down here. So it's
right, okay. That could be kind of clever.
And again, every part where you go, that could be kind of clever, is then ruined by other parts of the game. So when I'm in this state, gravity is entirely flipped. To reset gravity, I need to hold down Y to fix my body the same way you do for everything else. So if I hold down Y, it will do this little animation of her putting her head back on and resetting that.
Yeah.
That animation happens every single time you have to reset it, and you do it a lot, especially at this point where you're experimenting and figuring out what the fuck to do. So at this point, I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Because like, there's a box over here that I can't really do much with. I mean, I can drag it over here, but like, there's not much really I can do for that. So what the fuck am I supposed to do? Because every time I get hit with the thing, it just flips and I go upwards, right? What it actually wants you to do is this, where you kind of wait for the timing. I'm going to let it swing back, take a run up, and then jump into it so that it flings you in a direction.
Oh, what?
And then puts you upside down. And then you can push the box out of that area and make it fall down here. So it's that kind of stuff where like there's zero tutorializing and no help.
Yeah, yeah.
And the mechanic.
Like, I'm okay with games doing things where they don't tell you a whole lot and they teach you everything through gameplay. That's fine. Like Fury does that really well.
Yes. But
this
Fury
doesn't seem like it does it at all.
So the other thing about that is like Fury had a very consistent language where by the time you got through Fury, you'd be like, okay, purple ones are the ones I can reflect. Like it builds up this language that you can learn. This game seems to just break its own language all the time. So
magic.
For instance, here I need to do that again. Where if I it will blast you through that wall. I had no idea. I had no idea that wall was breakable.
Oh sure.
I did that by accident the first time. And then that's how so it is teaching you the mechanics, but it's teaching you mechanics in a way that's like you just have to fucking hit your head against this wall until you figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the game, is various puzzles that use these mechanics. So there are a couple that are like you have to go down to being your head and then you can roll about there. There are a couple where you use, and again, like as a helper for people who get stuck at various points in this game, you will occasionally have to use your own limbs as weights in physics puzzles. Which, as a description, is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's giving me a cool idea, yeah.
But you have to then figure it out, like, for a while. And it wasn't particularly fun to do. And then when you throw on top of all that, while you're experimenting, checkpointing is a nightmare. So you're naturally discouraged from exploring shit because you're like, well, if this fucks up, I'm right back to the start. So as a point, if I was to die here somehow, I would go right back to the very start of this area. That is the checkpoint here. It is not. It's just not good. It's just really not good.
Yeah.
So yeah. In terms of the actual story, so there's also like very limbo stuff here. Where like, yeah, I've got a hook, so I'm gonna hook this thing on here because when I flip upside down, well, actually, I need to get up there. I'll keep talking while I'm solving this puzzle. So yeah, like. So apart the donut thing aside, where you're like, hey, you need to get these donuts for the end to make sense. Yeah. When I saw basically all of the narrative, or all of the kind of like important narrative, is like the last 30 minutes of the game. At that point, it kind of, like, I think once we're done here, I will show you the last 30 minutes of this game, because it's actually kind of spectacular in a weird way. But it relies on, and actually it's kind of impossible to talk about without giving too much away. But I was initially thought that the game, and I think I told you this on IM at one point, that I didn't think the game deserved what it was trying to go for. I didn't think it earned it.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
On reflection,
you said it was. If you felt like it was trying to say something, but it didn't earn the right to say it, or something like that.
On reflection, I thought actually it tied in quite nicely to provided you'd seen the donut conversations, tied in actually quite nicely, and there were a couple of moments where you're like, oh, that's what that was about, and I actually felt okay about it. I then maybe this is too much, I don't know, I'll go for it. There were a couple of specific critics I wanted their opinion on before I could concisely say they'd handled it right.
Yeah.
And those that I've read that I trust seem to suggest that they've handled it right, so I'm relatively happy in saying they've handled it right.
Sure.
So now I just need to very quickly run at this thing. I'll also say, game does not look great. The game has some real texturing issues. The character models are pretty good, and the animation.
I was gonna say the style of the character is quite cool.
So you're about to see, and I'm hoping the reason why I'm getting through this is because there's a particular section I want to show you that is.
God, the fact that animation plays every time.
Every single time, it is a nightmare.
Like if it was an animation that was like maybe like 1 second or 2 seconds, it would be fine.
It's just too long.
It's just too long, yeah.
So as you go through, like there are, and also like the other thing is like you move pretty slow as well. Like as a character, you move pretty slow. When you finish the game, there's a straight up like cheats menu, which you unlock. Which during the game you unlock kind of costumes in.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't need to go up there because that's just for donuts. You unlock cheats in. At the end of that, there's just straight up like excuse me. There's just straight up move faster. Like that's just one of the cheats.
Okay, yeah.
And it's like you should have done this in the first place.
Yeah, that should just be your normal walking speed.
Yeah. So this is the kind of cool section of the game. This is the first kind of big like area-based puzzle of the game, where you see these fucking owls with red eyes, and you're like, oh, that's weird. Thunk.
Oh.
And this is kind of the moment where it starts to go like, okay, you're gonna have to learn how to use your limbs properly in a way that is actually conducive to finishing the level.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to I don't think I'm going to get to the section I actually want to do here. I'm going to very quickly jump back to the chapter select and see if it'll let me just get straight into it. But this was a section, or the section immediately after this was a section I played in its entirety like 5 or 6 times because of the checkpointing. Like it was actively bad. So yeah, I'm in a real weird position with this game where it does some really good narrative stuff that you don't normally see from... No, it's not going to let me do it. It's the end of that section and the start of the next one. It does some stuff you don't expect from Japanese developers, and that's a good thing. But getting there is a slog. Like, the game itself is not particularly fun, and the narrative breadcrumbs it leaves you was enough for me to power through, but I do not expect everyone to do that at all. Yeah. So it's a super interesting game. I'm glad it exists. This is like Swery's first game with his new studio. So White Owls, this is their first game.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
So yeah, this is. I don't want to go any further with this because the ending is a thing we will talk about later, I think. Definitely at the end of the year, I think it's worth sharing.
that's the time to talk about that stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, this is The Missing. It is out on... So this is weird as well, because I've been following this on Twitter, and it seems like it is out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One now. It's coming out for Switch at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And if you're in Europe, it appears to be in some countries and not others, and Swery doesn't seem to understand why. It's not on his end, so there's some fuckery going on with this right now, but it is definitely out in Steam right now, and in the UK it's definitely out in PS4 and Xbox, so yeah, hopefully this
maybe tread with caution.
Tread with caution for sure, but it's a Swery game, so there's some expectations you can probably have that are here. Yeah. So yeah, thanks Cal.
Thanks Ian.